For wrestling diehards only, this is the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in. It is a Twas the Night Before Christmas edition of the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast. We do this every Tuesday night throughout the Idaho high school wrestling season. We come to you live every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Mountain time, as we break down the biggest wrestling stories from the past week of competition, and of course have an interactive dialogue with all of you, the fans. The Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast is once again, we're proud to be sponsored by Green Solutions Cleaning and Restoration, two brothers born in Rexburg that have been blessed to find a way to work with one another. Teamwork makes the dream work. They say our dad put us on the wrestling mat at 5 years old, and through our childhood, we had a lot of success in both high school and college. And through wrestling, we learned that having success not only takes hard work, but putting in more time than our opponents. In our business, we put in the time and energy to make us great at what we do. We feel we have an edge and can help our customers have a great experience. They are the premium carpet cleaning company in the area, and their main focus over the last 4 years has been in water damage, emergencies, and disasters. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to wake up to a foot of water in the basement. Now, that being said, they have learned to de-escalate the situation and help the customer through the difficult time. Green Solutions Cleaning and Restoration loves East Idaho, and they are grateful for this area and all of their loyal customers. My name is Brandon Baney, but you did not tune in to hear what I have to say about wrestling. Let's bring on our panel of wrestling experts joining us tonight. It is Mr. Tier 1 of Idaho wrestling himself, Al Fontes. Al, what's going on? You are Tier 1 when it comes to Idaho wrestling media, no doubt.
Now, I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas here in Idaho and abroad, and all our fans watching. It's great to be here. We're really into the season now. It's hot and heavy, so here we go.
Yeah, plenty to talk about for sure. So if you're a fan tonight and you are hanging out watching the show, we do this live on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, X account, Instagram account, and the Idaho Wrestling News Facebook page. If you're hanging out tonight, we want to hear from you, the fans. The show is always better when we're getting those questions, those comments, those shout outs from the fans. So let us know where you're watching from tonight, who you want to give a shout out to, throw it in the comments, and we will throw it up on the screen because we want you, the fans, to be part of the conversation. So also, I guess we're the three wise men here pre-Christmas Eve. Al, let's bring on, I brought the gold, you brought the frankincense, and bringing the myrrh is Brian Zollinger. What's going on, Brian?
What's going on, diehards? I'm glad to be the myrrh.
I think I found our podcast title as well there. So yeah, you guys might be wondering where I'm broadcasting from tonight. I've got the headset on, which means I'm on the road. I'm actually at my parents' house in Montana. You can see all my mom's sewing stuff up on the wall behind me there. So
I was starting to wonder, hey, what's going on back there? It's all good.
Yes, I'm in my mom's sewing room. Glad to be on the road doing the show because just because it's the holidays doesn't mean we stop the show. We will, though, programming note, we will be taking next week off only because there will not be much to talk about because pretty much everybody has this week off due to the holiday. So we will do the show this week. We'll take next week off, and then we will come back with our Raleigh Lane recap and so much other stuff to get to start off the new year there in January. So when we get to the end of the show tonight, we'll preview what's coming up in 2 weeks because it is a very heavy schedule once we get into the end of December and into January. So really excited to talk about that. But before we get to that, we've got to look back on the week and the weekend that was. We always start the show with the best thing that we saw from the previous week of competition. Al, what was the best thing you saw from last week?
Two particular matches at the Reno TLC. It was in the consos, two of our Tier 1 wrestlers, All-Americans. You had Jake Messer, BK, and him and Ian Avalos battle in the conso round. It was a great match. Jake came out on top, but it was a great match to watch. Just show the spirit of two guys that put in a lot of effort into it, and neither of them placed. That showed you how tough their weight group was. And I won't speak too much about the girls' side, but I did see a knockout battle for Talia Nichols of Rocky Mountain. She was in for third place match against a girl from Temecula. The finalists were both nationally ranked, but this match went into multiple overtime, and she won a tight one in the end. And I have to say she looked good in that match, but all of them looked good.
See, this is why I think the show works so well, Al, because I was really plugged into what was going on in Idaho last week, and I was counting on you to have some good reports from Reno. So I'm glad you went there. Brian, what was the best thing you saw from the past week of competition?
I was in Malad. I was really impressed with it's a new tournament. I was really impressed with how it ran up there. I was in the girls' part, so that was fun. But I think the most interesting thing I saw is we have a fun weight this year at 120 at 5A. I haven't counted it late, but there's at least 4 state titles in there. Carson Leonard's got a couple, Aiden Takita, Skyline, Holton Crane, BK. So multiple state champs from different weights, all coming there together. You had Porter Campbell and Nathan Ramsdale this week at 120. The weights starting to take shape. At Wiley Dobbs, that was the first place match with Ramsdale and Campbell. We're probably in the top 6 there at 20, and Ramsdale won that match 12-10. So it's good to see that weight take shape, because I'm not sure who's going to win that. That's a fun one with Leonard, Takita, Crane, Shank, Ramsdale, and Campbell there.
Yeah, that's a good quartet. I'm so used to you said 120, right, Brian?
Yep.
Yeah, and of course that was the weight Mac Mauger used to rule when he was in Blackfoot. So I like this kind of competition between all of these great athletes coming to the forefront there at the 5A, what was previously the 4A level.
That's going to be a fun one.
Yes. The best thing I saw, guys, was from Tri-State, of course, up here in North Idaho. North Idaho College does a phenomenal job hosting this every single year. My IdahoSports.com colleague, Ryan Skaggs, was actually the public address announcer for all of the championship matches, so he had a lot of good info for me. But there were 3 champions from Idaho. I don't want to slight. I mean, all 3 of them were very deserving winners. Certainly Brock Armstrong from Coeur d'Alene High at 165. And then you had Damian Hamilton from Post Falls win his first Tri-State title at 175. But to me, guys, the story was Colton Story from Kellogg winning at 106, defeats a kid from Gonzaga Prep, which is no slouch, from the state of Washington. And oh, by the way, Wyatt Story from Kellogg. It's Kellogg's first champion at Tri-State since 1987, guys. I wasn't even alive back then.
I was in the Navy.
Brian, do you know who the last Tri-State champion from Kellogg was?
No, I would, before my time too, 1990 or 1987. No idea.
Ryan Wood, and they actually had 2 champions that year. Ryan Wood and Jamie Barnes.
Okay.
Champions.
That's fun. Yeah, we still see Ryan Wood around all the time refereeing, so it's good to know. We'll have to tell him we learned a little bit of trivia if he's not watching tonight.
That's right.
This tournament was tough, gentlemen. I mean, Ording, Washington won it. Tahoma was second, and then Meade was third. Post Falls was fifth, and Meridian was sixth place with 8 placers. So that tournament was tough.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was crazy to see Neville's go down to the kid from Orting. I mean, that one kind of surprised me. Neville's is one of those kids you don't expect to lose very often, and tough tournament.
That's good. It's good. He's facing that tough competition. He's a sophomore, and I would encourage him to go out there and explore more competition like that to get him ready.
Yeah, that's just going to push him and make him stronger for sure. Here's Jason Bryant in the chat watching on YouTube tonight. Merry Christmas, gents. Merry Christmas to you.
He's the man.
Yeah.
No doubt. And then our good friend Sam Buffington from North Idaho talking about Brock Armstrong there from Coeur d'Alene. Brock is legit. Sam, were you there? Were you there taking pictures, shooting highlights? You'll have to let us know in the chat, because that was a hot ticket in North Idaho this past weekend, Tri-State for sure. Here's Jason Bryant again. Back when I was doing national rankings 20-something years ago, Tri-State was one of those events I made sure that I tried to dig up results from, since it was always solid and great to find those kids out west. Yes, 54th edition of the Tri-State Invite 2. That's got to be, I think we talked about this maybe last year or the year prior, Brian. It's either that or Tiger Grizz, right? In terms of longest running wrestling event in Idaho.
Yep, been going a long time.
Yeah, 54 years for sure.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yep. So, Al, you alluded to it. Orting, Washington was the champion. They finished with 284 points, kind of ran away from Tahoma and Meade. Gonzaga Prep took 4th. Post Falls was 5th, Meridian 6th, Coeur d'Alene 8th. And my Montana roots, Flathead, I mean, from Kalispell, is the dominant team in Montana. They took 7th overall. So that shows you exactly how rigorous this tournament was. For sure. Here is Jason again. Tri-State, Reno, Tiger Grizz were the three I really dialed in on before 5 counties started to rise, for sure.
That's right.
Yep. Sam says he was home. He should have went. He had to do some Christmas shopping. I have priorities. Okay. All right. And guys, part of what makes North Idaho College Wrestling so great, Coach Derek Booth, Tri-State was a great tourney. Yeah, you do such a good job, Coach Booth, with the Cardinals. And it's always fun to see how packed it gets for Tri-State as well. That was definitely the premier event in Idaho this past weekend for sure. No doubt about it.
I think it's great that we have these type of tournaments close to our state to build up our region, because if kids going to want to go on to college and face the best, it's better we wrestle those our top tier kids got to face that kind of competition if they want to go to the next level college.
Yep. To be the best, you got to beat the best. And Washington for a long time has been, here, and Idaho's been here, but Idaho's closing that gap, right, Al?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Let's see. Jason says he was out in Bulgaria with NIC's Randy Boswell this summer at the U20 Worlds. That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. That's a good trip right there. No doubt about it. Yeah. So any other thoughts, guys, from Tri-State before we move on to what else was going on this past weekend?
No, that was just a great tournament and well ran, and Idaho represented well. I mean, we had several placers, but it just shows you the depths of the teams, which is gave us a sort of a sneak preview of how Coeur d'Alene's going to do this year at the higher level. So they're going to be in the thick, like we said last week. They got enough kids where they can make some noise at state if they stay healthy.
Yeah, we just talked about the only problem is that it's only a 3-team district with Day and Post Falls and Lake City, so there's not a ton of bids available. Here in the chat, we've got Jordan Jimenez. Ording brought some studs, no doubt about it. They ended up winning the title in pretty convincing fashion. So, okay, Al, I did want to stop down on the Reno Tournament of Champions. We had a pretty strong contingent of Idaho wrestlers coming through there. You kind of gave some initial thoughts at the top, but just take us through what you saw from Reno TOC, what really stood out to you.
So I would say Reno TOC, like Jason alluded back in the day in the late 90s, it was what you would call the elite tournament, the top tier tournament. It's still highly competitive. They had 3 nationally ranked teams there. There was about 20 wrestlers they're ranked in the top 20, and 10 of those are in the top 10. So overall, there was some great parity. A lot of teams from California, Utah, team from Allen, Texas, etc. So the competition was good for the boys. We only had 7 placers. Hershert, Ryan Herkett from Nampa was 6th. Holton Crane had some tough matches at 13s. He was 8th. Brandon Edstrom wrestled tough at 120s. And he lost in the earlier rounds, but came back and took 5th, just as Vincent Contreras took 6th. Tenzay Thompson for BK took 5th, and James Hansen from Madison, he wrestled tough. He lost in the regular rounds, came back, and he was in for 3rd and 4th. Wrestled a great tournament, took 4th, and then Gage Ponton from Mountain View took 5th at heavyweight. So overall, some good wrestling. We had several other kids come close, but these brackets were huge. So I mean, you had to have some endurance to place at this tournament, especially if you lost early on. You can wrestle up to 6 matches just to get into the medals. It was tough.
Brian is our resident East Idaho guy. Tell me a little bit about James Hansen. That's a guy that all the other guys Al mentioned were kind of on my radar coming into the season, but I'll admit I haven't been as in tune with James Hansen from Madison.
Yeah. I mean, great kid, wrestled all summer. I believe a 2-time state champion at Ryrie before the transfer to Madison. Stuck in the transfer process right now. And I think the last update I heard last week is they had denied an appeal. So they're still fighting to try to get him eligible to be able to wrestle at Madison. His younger brother transferred over with him as well, and looks like he's caught up in the transfer portal as well. So I hope James is able to wrestle as well as his younger brother. But right now it's looking iffy because the state has denied the appeal to transfer. But great wrestler, wrestles year round. Good kid, obviously had great results. Look at over the Boise duels at the beginning of the season as well. I believe he went undefeated there. So fingers crossed he gets to wrestle and, shoot for that 3rd state title.
Yeah, I hope it happens. Just give these kids opportunity. They only get one chance in their life, so hopefully they'll make the right decision.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about the girls arena or wait for Val?
Let's wait for the bottom of the hour
Okay.
for that girls discussion.
Okay,
Al.
sounds good.
Yep. Okay. Last question about the transfer portal and everything. I'm gonna guess that James could go compete at Reno TOC because it's out of the state of Idaho. He could compete unattached or something.
Yeah. I think he can compete unattached if I understand the rules right. Most of the season, can't score team points, dual points, and then obviously can't wrestle district and state. So if they don't approve it, he'll probably be wrestling unattached at a few of these tournaments. I would assume he'll be at Raleigh Lane, and we'll see how he's going to do. But
yeah. And here's Jordan in the chat. A shame that kids get stuck like that for sure. Yeah. So the bureaucracy of it sometimes, right? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Awesome. Well, it's so great to hear all of our great wrestlers down there at Reno TOC for sure. And then, outside of Tri-State, back home in Idaho, obviously the story was Wiley Dobbs, right? Taking place over there in the Magic Valley. Minico wins this team race with 205.5 points. Highland took second. Middleton finishes third. Meridian must have sent their JV over to compete in this, or maybe their second.
Probably their second team, most of them. Maybe some first teamers. It's hard to say.
And then I thought what was interesting to me here, Al, was that Fruitland and Buell finished 5 and 6, and they're only 3.5 points apart from each other. How much can we glean in terms of this 4A race between Fruitland and Buell and how close they finish to one another?
We can't count them out. They know how to win. They know how to peak at the right time. We don't know all their younger kids from last year. Might have been really close to some of the guys who were placed in the state in that room. So we'll know more after Raleigh Lane, but it's starting to look like they're going to be able to compete. It's not over until it's over. So we will see.
Yeah. I would love to hear
them out.
Yeah, you never count them out. That's for sure. I would love to hear from the fans in the chat. Were any of you at Wiley Dobbs this week? Which individual matchups stood out? Which individuals stood out? We talked about the team race a little bit. Minico certainly looked strong. I feel like Highland gets kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit, Brian, because, we talk about Madison a lot and deservedly so. But Highland is also no slouch when it comes to that 6A Eastern Idaho contingent.
Yeah, kind of off the radar. Surprised me. Second's probably the highest I've seen them place at a tournament in a long time. But they've got a lot of good kids. The 13-pounder Mays was third. Sawyer Anderson, obviously returning state champ multiple times, is up at 32. So we're used to seeing him in the lighter weights. But he continued to dominate, winning that weight class. Several good. The Johnson kid at 144. Jacob Vincent at 150. I mean, a lot of placers. Obviously, it's a good team. Both Johnsons, I'm assuming Bracken and Kyler are brothers, but I'm not positive there, but both placed. So, that's a team to keep our eye on in 5A because that kind of surprised me there. Obviously, Meridian, Post Falls, and Madison weren't there, so it's tough to gauge completely, but good showing for Highland for sure.
So I got a question. Do we talk about the Calhoun Dual Classic in Nissa, Oregon last week?
No.
Okay, that took place. We didn't talk about that tournament. Nissa, Oregon won it with 152.5 points. They had 7 placers, but Homedale was second. And a match that stood out to me. Last year, he took second at state. Braylon Arredondo from Homedale. He was second, lost out, I think, Bowden Banta. He's only a sophomore, but I believe he beat in the final Marcus Ailman from Fruitland, who's a tough kid, 3-time placer, state champion. So that's a kid that's we got to watch out for him because he's really made some strides because Ailman's a tough kid. So that stood out to me. But we represented really well there. I mean, a vast majority of the teams there were from Idaho because NIS is right on the border. They might as well be in Idaho. But overall, a good tournament.
Yeah, Homedale's going to be tough to beat. I mean, between Valley, Painter, that's a good lineup. The Swan kid's back. Aaron Dondo, as you mentioned, like that's a tough lineup, and they're going to be in competition in 3A. I think Malad's going to be tough to beat, but Homedale's right up there with them for sure.
No, it's good to see that strength and tough competition. Look forward to hopefully they'll both be at Raleigh Lane. Is Homedale normally at Raleigh Lane?
I can't remember if they are. I believe so. I don't know if they bring the full lineup, but I believe they are there.
Okay.
I think so. Al, and as our expert and resident number cruncher, I love this part of it. The guys that you could, because you can project, oh, this kid took fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever at state last year, but some kids make gains in the off seasons, and a kid who took fourth last year and maybe the top 3 finishers are all still ahead of him. Well, he closed the gap and now he's fighting to get into that upper echelon. That's what makes this sport so much fun, is those stories that we uncover as the season goes along.
Yeah, some kids get better. That's why the start of the year in the preseason review, it is almost impossible to project an accurate ranking. You can only estimate who's going to be in the mix because there's so many kids that are 1 point away from placing at state, or they matured a little bit and got better, went to camp, wrestled at best on best, went to Fargo. Whatever they did, they put that extra time and got better. So we will see some new stars rise.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I misspoke there. I said Homedale and Malad, but I forget Homedale's 4A. So
yes, yes. Homedale, it looks like Jordan says will be at Raleigh Lane, and this guy would definitely know Al. Todd Katie. He says
good man. Runs a great tournament.
Yeah,
Todd,
one of the best.
Yep, Todd's the man for sure. Homedale is at the Raleigh Lane for sure. So I did want to give a shout out from Wiley Dobbs guys at 165. Garrett Larson from Wood River. He's been kind of a fun story. We talked about him last year. He kind of had a fluky accident in the middle of the season and then came back at the end and really finished strong. And he beat Kyson McKenzie from Fruitland in the 165 final at Wiley Dobbs. And I know Kyson's an athlete you've spotlighted, Al, in your off-season series. So I just, because we don't see that from Wood River a ton. So whenever we see a guy like Garrett Larson from Wood River doing good things on the mats, I definitely want to give it a shout out. So that was a big result. Yeah,
it's going to be another fun weight. You got Ryan Lewis from Middleton back there, Bodie Baker, state placer, Archuleta Pocatello, state placer, the Avia kid from Blackfoot, state placer, and then Garrett Larson in the mix. So that's going to be one of those other fun weights to watch.
And Al, this is Middleton's last year at 5A. They're moving back up to 6A next year in all sports. They've already moved up in some of the sports or stayed up in some of the sports. So
Middleton's growing. It's growing. There's a lot of houses being built there, so it makes sense.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Brian, since Malad is on your mind, should we go there? The Malad Invitational, see what happened down south with the Dragons. Malad wins this pretty overwhelmingly, 233 points. North Fremont, a distant second at 145. Malad ends up with 5 champions and 3 second-place finishers. That's like half the lineup.
Yeah, that's a dominant team. I was talking to Coach Morrison there. Obviously, his son, Drake Morrison, dominates there with a pin in the first. Great team tournament. It was fun to see. It's a first year of the tournament. I love to see these new tournaments being built and some good matches there. The 175-pound match, Maddox texts the Lentz kid from North Fremont, which was surprising. The Lentz kid is no slacker. And then Mac Hall from West J went in 165. That's another kid to watch in those rankings, returning state placer. Well-run tournament. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, we talked about them a lot last year, but I feel like West Jefferson's got some really good, and on the girls' side as well, they've got some really underrated wrestlers. They just don't have the numbers to make a push overall, but they have some good individuals for sure.
They do. The Hall kid won it. The Holes kid at 144 won it from West Jefferson. I think that I can't think of any other. Oh, and then the heavyweight, they had the Robles kid of West J, who is a beast there, a heavyweight. So they had 3 champions in the finals at heavy. They had 2 West Jefferson kids against each other.
Yeah. And Todd says, I'm excited to see the Malad kids at Raleigh. This is a big eye opener, right?
I was just thinking about that because they got some tough kids, but we like to see them go against some of the other divisions at state. And I know many of them will do well because a lot of them do freestyle and Greco in the summertime. So they're full-time wrestlers, just like anyone else.
Yeah, I think Morrison was the only kid from Idaho that went back to the Ironman tournament. And I think he lost out in the blood rounds, which, that's another tough tournament. So to see Morrison go back there and win whatever he won, 4 or 5 matches and lose out in the blood rounds was kind of fun to see.
If you're losing in the blood rounds there, you're good enough to place in almost every state per se. Yeah. That's a tough that's the #1 tournament in the country other than Doc B and Clovis and probably B Cities and some of the other tournaments in PA. That says a lot right there.
Yeah.
And he's only a sophomore or junior?
I think he's a junior.
Yeah, I would hope he would go back and try to get a medal there. That'll help him if he wants to go to college. Open up some eyes.
No doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. And then we did have the Continental Divide up in Salmon. I didn't see a ton of results from this one, guys. I know Salmon was there. Sugar Salem went over and competed. I think Clearwater Valley made the trip over from North Idaho, but just a fun early season tournament there in Salmon as well. And Todd, again in the chat, Morrison is headed to Doc B too.
Yeah.
So there you go, Al.
Yeah, Doc B's got like 10 or 12 nationally ranked teams. It is off the charts this year. So it's where state champions go to lose, my friend. So there will be state champions up in the stands watching on day 2.
Al should be the marketing guy for Doc B, where
I
champions.
used to market it every year back when I was there, so I know that tournament inside and out.
Have we had an Idaho champion? Mauger was in the finals.
Mauger, and I think who was the kid at Coeur d'Alene, our 90-pounders at Lehigh. He won state a couple years ago. He's at Lehigh, 190-pounder. My brain is I think he was in the finals as well.
The only name I'm thinking of is Gunnar Julio, but that's not.
No, he was at Blair Academy for a while. Then he came back.
Oh,
too.
Yeah.
My memory's not serving me, but yeah, that's a great tournament. I'm glad to hear he's going to go there. They love the Idaho kids there.
Yeah, Rylan Rogers.
Rogers.
There you go.
Yep. You can thank Google for that. So everybody had it in the chat though. Jason and Todd.
Jason.
Yeah, they both had it in the chat. So that checks out for sure. So a lot of good boys action on the mats. But we had, and I love this, all of those tournaments we just talked about, Wiley Dobbs, the Malad invite, not Tri-State yet, but maybe eventually, but all of them have a girls wrestling component to it. And so we're going to talk girls wrestling with both of our Idaho wrestling experts on the girls side right after this break. So don't go anywhere. Girls wrestling discussion headed your way next. You're watching the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
At Valleywide Cooperative, we're here when you need us. For 100 years, we have been here to help you with food, fuel, and good old-fashioned advice. And for us, serving is more than a job, it's a way of life, which is why we pour so much into the communities around us. We've employed hundreds of your neighbors. We take pride in that, and in giving back millions in sponsorships, grants, donations, and scholarships. It's our way of saying thanks. We're Valleywide, and yesterday, today, and tomorrow, we're here for you.
Welcome back to the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, X account, Instagram account, and the Idaho Wrestling News Facebook page. As you're hanging out tonight, if you could hit that like button or that subscribe button, that'll help everybody else who isn't here live tonight find this a little easier on replay as they're scrolling throughout social media. And we want to hear from you, the fans, all right? If you've got a question or a shout out, a favorite athlete, a favorite coach, a favorite personality, that's typically Al, gets all of the accolades in the chat in terms of the guys on the show. You could throw that in the chat and we'll throw it up on the screen. We want to hear from you, the fans. The Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast is brought to you by Green Solutions, East Idaho's trusted choice for fast, reliable flood recovery. Brandon Bainey here with Al Fontez and Brian Zollinger. But for the next half hour or so, we're going to talk girls wrestling in the great state of Idaho. So let's bring on once again our expert from Southern Idaho. Fred Bartlett is on with us. Fred, it's nice to see you. All right, just the silent thumbs up. Yep, there we go. Yeah, good to see you. Yes, Merry Christmas to you, Fred. And making her season debut here on the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast. Wasn't able to be with us last week because, well, a really bad windstorm came through Sandpoint and knocked all the power out, but she's back online tonight. She is also the head girls wrestling coach at Sandpoint High School. Val Johansson. Val, it's great to see you.
Hi, guys. It's good to be here. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you as well. So, Val, last week on the show, all of us kind of gave a brief bio for our audience in case there's any new members that don't know who you are or your background in the sport of wrestling. So could you just give us kind of a quick bio of your wrestling background?
Yeah, absolutely. This is my 4th year as the Sandpoint women's high school coach, as well as the Sandpoint middle school coach. I am a USA Wrestling Silver certified coach and have been involved in the sport of wrestling for well over a decade now.
Yep. And so great to have you on once again here. You were on all last season and just a great resource for girls wrestling. Already a couple of shout outs in the chat for Fred from Lana Williams and also from Lana Val. Nice. Great support this summer for the girls. So we love to see it. So Val, let's start with you since you were not on the show last week. Tell us where your Sandpoint girls were at, and then we'll talk maybe about what some of the other North Idaho teams were up to this past week.
At Sandpoint this last week, we went over into Arley, Montana to their Christmas Classic and wrestled some pretty tough Montana girls, and they ran a great tournament, and it was a great day. We took our varsity JV girls and then our JV boys and headed over to that tournament, and it was an early morning. We left Sandpoint at 3:30 in the morning, so it was a great test for our wrestlers to see they could get up that early, survive a 3.5-hour bus ride, and be ready to wrestle. And they definitely rose to that occasion. So it was a great tournament. But we had a big one in North Idaho, the Lakeland Girls Tournament, which had every other girls team in North Idaho. They host that for teams that brought their full teams up to Tri-State. There's an opportunity for their JV boys and their girls to wrestle. And so that was a big one. And super proud of Post Falls winning that tournament championship. And a lot of good things came out of that one, and we can talk about it.
Yeah. So just before we dive into the results there, so you mentioned you wanted your team to kind of head out of state because unlike down south where there's a variety of teams that you can see throughout the year, in North Idaho, it's just, you're like, oh, it's you again. Oh, cool. Hey, it's Lakeland for the 500th time. Good to see you. We'll see you at
it's our district championship week after week after week. And so we just kind of have to get strategic. And I think other North Idaho teams are doing that now where we can go, okay, wait a minute. We're 3 hours from Montana. We're 2 hours from Spokane and Washington. Like, let's venture out a little bit and still support each other when we can. Because obviously we want our northern tournaments to grow and build. And we don't have to see each other 8 times in a season. It's okay.
Right. Here is Amanda Younger in the chat. Whoop, whoop. Love you, Val. And guys, Val gets the top billing there, of course. So let's talk about this Lakeland Girls Tournament. Post Falls takes first. Lewiston finishes second. Lakeland takes third. We had some pretty impressive performances across the board, but who stood out to you, Val?
I have to give Brooklyn Anderson just another shout out this week. She came in again at wrestled in the 235 weight class and dominated that. They did round robins there at Lakeland and she dominated that. And I think I'm going to be honest, like she's putting the 235s in the state on notice. I think both Cassie Voss and Lily Marty, their eyes are a little open like, oh, there's this new girl in our weight class and she is dominant so far. So I am very, very impressed with Brooklyn Anderson and Coeur d'Alene at 235. And then also Coeur d'Alene again, brought 3 girls, had 3 champions walk out of there.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Al, correct me if I'm wrong. 235 in the history of Idaho girls wrestling being a sanctioned event is pretty much prolonged exclusively to Amy Hartman from Mountain Home, right? She's been the only.
She set the precedent. So being an All-American, going on to college, she's probably one of the best at that weight. But I see the future. There's going to be some girls coming up that will meet or exceed what she's accomplished in the not too distant future.
And that's what makes it fun, right, Fred? When an iconic athlete leaves and finally a weight class is kind of back up for grabs again, seeing which athlete is going to step into the void and assume that mantle moving forward, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're seeing that at the 115, 120 as well with Jolie Slider out of there. A bunch of up-and-coming girls that are staking their claim, I guess.
Yep. Here's Jason in the chat. Amy Hartman, love her cowboy hat story from Fargo the last 2 summers. That's a story Al brought to our audience at IdahoSports.com in written form. It was a really fun article that Al wrote there. So, Val, anything else from North Idaho you wanted to highlight before we move south?
I wanted to just highlight, like Fred said, the 115. Cooper from Lewiston and Hunter from Lakeland definitely had a solid match this weekend. Sandpoint's 115 is a freshman, Paloma Park-Coffin. So this was her first high school tournament this weekend in Arley, and she dominated and took the podium. So I feel like 115 is going to be one to watch all year.
Yeah, and there are certain weights, it seems like, where there's like just a a flood of like really good competition, especially in girls with the all classification format. And so iron is going to sharpen iron as the season goes along for sure. So, okay. Fred, remind our audience again of where the Buell girls were at competing this past weekend.
We went to Wiley Dobbs. They had over 300 girls there, so that's pretty exciting. It was a good tournament. Looking at it, I think our girl Allie pinned her way through the tournament, ended up being the OW in the lightweights. And if I remember right, Olivia Bezdacek was the OW for the upper weights. So looked good. It was a good tournament.
Yeah, CUNA wins the team title, right?
Yeah, they're looking really good. They got some young girls too. I think Jaden Jackson was in there at 135. I think she wrestled Olivia in the finals, if I remember right. Pulling up the result.
Yeah, they had 9 placers.
Yeah,
Wiley Dobbs.
Yeah, Taylor Drake's still doing well. She won 110 for him. Kyra Cobb moved down for this tournament, and I was really impressed with Idaho Falls. Ariana Ayala, she placed at Artist Nash, and then she won this tournament. She beat Olivia Lombardo in the finals, but she beat Kyra Cobb in the semis, which that's a pretty big win for a freshman. So that was interesting. Freshman taking on a senior, so.
No doubt. Yeah, Brian, I was going to ask you, Idaho Falls, they take 5th in the team race, but 2 individual champions. Where do you see the Tigers potentially slotting in amongst all these other really good Eastern Idaho teams?
Yeah, I mean, the Thunder Ridge obviously has the numbers over here in East Idaho and looks good. Malad is solid. Skyline is solid. But Idaho Falls has the numbers, and junior high building a really good program here in the next few years. Obviously, the freshman at 113, Ayala is good. Maya Bolender, the other champ there, worked all summer, off season, looks really good. So they've got a couple at I think 165 or 170 that been in the medals both at Artist Nash and Wiley Dobbs. So they're going to be tough they're going to have a good showing over here. With the districts as large as they are, it's just tough to say numbers wise who's going to get what to state. Because West Jefferson's got some really good lightweights over in East Idaho, but Idaho Falls overall looks, they're top 2 or 3 over here in the East, I would say.
Yeah, I'll agree with that too. And Val and Fred, you may want to talk about this, but at the Reno TOC, Eagle had 6 placers, the most of any Idaho team, with Rocky having 3. So Eagle is going to be right there.
Yeah, they were on my teams to watch last year, and they're definitely back this year. I mean, they were 5th, and Rocky Mountain was 13th. I mean, that is extremely impressive for those Idaho teams to be in the top 20 at the Reno TOC.
Yeah, and having 14 placers overall, that was probably one of the best showings we've had for Idaho girls at the Reno TOC. So it was really good to see.
Yeah, I'll go ahead, Val.
Charlie Noah was champ there.
Mm-hmm.
So that.
Love that. Tri-Valley, right? Love it.
Yeah, Shauna Anderson looked good from Thunder Ridge. I mean, she dominated her weight, as well as Kiana Conrad was in a tough weight. I mean, she came back and I think she lost in the semis to the number 1, but she came back and took solid 3rd. But, Eagle and Rocky Mountain, they definitely will be in the mix if they get the numbers to state, along with the teams you had mentioned too, Thunder Ridge and Idaho Falls and all those teams. So it's going to be a fun one this year once again.
Yeah, going to be a really fun knock them down, drag them out affair like girls wrestling always is. Fred, were there any other individuals that jumped out to you at Wiley Dobbs this past week?
I was impressed with Meridian overall as a team. Like they brought 22 girls down and ended up 2nd behind CUNA. So I think Meridian's another team to watch in that District 3. So Meridian, CUNA, Rocky, and Eagle are all going to battle it out there, I think. So Kiana Trudell, she's still undefeated on the year, so that's impressive. So just a junior, so she's having a good season so far. And that weight class is pretty loaded. That might be the toughest weight class right now with Kyler Scott, Kiana, Shelby Garden, Courtney Chak. If Bezdacek goes down, that weight is loaded. So 130.
Yeah.
top to bottom, the toughest weight.
So, yeah. So Fred and Fred and I were talking about this last week to put everything in perspective. I've been looking at some numbers crunching, and they fluctuate. So we have 7 girls ranked nationally already, just in our infancy of starting the sport in 2020 or 2019 with that open state tournament with 60 something girls. Now we're at 1,020 girls. That is an exponential climb that's gone very quickly. And just the last year, the national was 15%. We're just over 15%. You have just over 1,000 girls. The question is what is our potential in the next 5 years, or what is the goal? I think realistically right now, 1,500. But then you got to ask yourself, what's the population of Idaho? 2 million people. How many of those kids are at the age 13 to 18? It's roughly around 180,000 kids in the state. Just over, I think it's about 11% of our population that we're trying to target. We're not talking about the grassroots. With that being said, realistically, if we look at the boys, they're at 3,066. Just back in 2010, they've only gone up 24%. So they've reached almost their full potential. For us to reach that same ratio, because of that population, 50% of boys and 50% of girls, roughly. So realistically, if we compare ourselves to California that has 40 million people and roughly around, I would say about 8,000 of the 8 million of them are of the same age that we have, we're actually doing better. We're actually doing pretty good per capita of our ratio. So you guys have done an outstanding job at this point. And I just think if we continue on this, we could reach that 1,500 in the next couple of years, of the goal of maybe peaking up over 2,000, 2,500 girls in the future to reach our full potential. What's your thoughts?
I would absolutely agree with that. And I think that the way to get there is that we really have to invest and to pour into our middle school coaches, right? We need if we look at the model this year in North Idaho, out of, Moscow was like, hey, we normally wrestle in the bi-state, and that's, January, February. But what if we started a girls team during your season? So October through the first part of December. Do you think it could work? And guess what? They had 36 girls show up and won a district championship this year. So we know that works. When you say we've got a girls team, we've got, we have girl coaches, whether that coach is a female or a male. Especially, it's great if you get a female in the room, right? They had Skyla Zimmerman in the room. That was amazing. We just know that system works. When you say we've got a girls team, girls will flood. And if we can do that in middle school and help other middle schools develop that will just grow our numbers in high school.
Yeah, and here's an opportunity. We've talked about college wrestling. What a great time to start a women's program right here in Idaho. So if any of those administrators are listening, we got the talent, just like we do with the boys. This would be a great opportunity to even grow it even more. So if there's anyone talking about it, they really need to understand the numbers, and I can help provide that.
And they're coming. The pipeline is filling at clubs are devoting their times to girls teams. Middle schools are now doing it. Like, that pipeline is starting to fill, and you can see that in our high school numbers. Our freshman class is the largest grouping in our high school numbers. So I believe those pipelines are going to continue to fill. And the state of Idaho is going to have to do their part to keep up with that.
And that's why I threw those numbers out there, because we have to do per capita based on our population. What is our realistic goal? We're actually ahead of a lot of states. We're number 38th in population. California is number 1. So per capita, we are doing really well in such a short period of time. It took California a lot of years to get over 8,000 girls where they're at now, but they're not at their full potential. It's much more than that if they were to equal ratio across based on the same the population. So you guys, everyone's doing a great job. Just keep it up.
Yeah, we recently this past weekend we had the Idaho Middle School State Tournament, and we saw great growth in the girls. We went from 160 girls last year to over 200. So that's pretty good growth. It was 25%. So
it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now, like you said, in its infancy still.
It's in its infancy. I mean, you're talking less than a few years. We've already reached a per capita that's better than a lot of states have been doing it for several years. Even though they have more numbers, their population's bigger, but based on our smaller population per capita, we're actually doing better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Val. You were going to say something. I cut you off.
I was going to say just our own middle school district tournament, we had 150 girls in North Idaho. And last year we had 100. The year before that, we had 60.
That's
so we
incredible.
went from 60 to 150 in 2 years.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Flood of comments here in the chat. Amanda says, Al, your stats make her head spin, but it's amazing. So
it keeps my mind sharp, and someone can cross check, but I'm a little dizzy myself trying to look up all these numbers. But yeah, it's complicated, but still.
Yep. And then she says, spot on, Val, as well. Chris says, Idaho girls are built different. Ryan Skaggs, our good friend, Moscow Junior High girls team is massive. We're talking about college programs. Amanda says, let's go University of Idaho. And then she said, heck, we'll take North Idaho College too. Hey, North Idaho College did get rid of golf. There's room to add a sport in. So that was kind of a contentious thing, but they've got room to add a program for sure. Joshua says, spot on. Ryan says, meteoric growth of girls wrestling is awesome to see. Shout out here for Mackenzie Dolan from Amanda. She is a powerhouse, no doubt. Washington State University women's club program won a national title recently, and it's now as big as the men's team. Certainly. And then here's a good question from Nicole Bezdachek. She said, what happened to ISU starting a program? At one point, there was an article about it. Yeah, Brian, I remember Idaho State University talked about they were going to start a club program and see where it went from there. But I admittedly have not heard much since then.
I haven't either. I've been meaning to follow up. So RJ Scott, I think he's the head of the Idaho Wrestling chapter at the Hall of Fame currently. And he's who announced it at the Ryrie Girls Tournament yesterday, last year he broke the news that they were going to add a team. And then there just really hasn't been any follow-up. So I need to follow up with RJ and see if he has any updates for us or if anybody out there has heard anything, because I haven't heard anything over here.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have about 4 or 5 girls ranked in the probably top 10 next year nationally. We want to keep them home.
Yeah.
We got to keep these girls home.
Yeah.
Yeah, we currently have, I think we have 6 girls ranked in the NAIA or 6 women from Idaho, which is pretty cool. We got about 45 girls wrestling in college, so it'd be nice to keep half of them here.
That's a good number.
And we have girls that are starting to come back from college that are starting to give back. Cadence Beck is coaching. Skylar Zimmerman's coaching. So it's just good to see. Bridget Shannon is coaching. So it's good to see those girls start to come back home and start investing back into Idaho, even though Cadence is in Washington, but we're close to Idaho, so it's okay.
Yeah, love to see that for sure. Amanda says, we just had a meeting for Emma, who's a senior this year, still at club status. Bruce, BSU should add both the men's and women's team. Bruce, I think we all have better chances of winning the Powerball than BSU bringing wrestling back. But Fred, I did want to ask you kind of realistically, if there was a college that was going to add women's wrestling as an official sport, which one do you think is most likely to maybe be the pioneer and get that ball rolling?
College of Idaho would be awesome. They're already in a conference that supports women's wrestling. They're in that Cascade conference. I think there's 9 women's teams. There's 13 men's teams. So
there's only 5 or 6. Yeah.
They're NAIA school, which would be really good for both our men and women. I think we could compete. Idaho kids would show out there. I think it would be really good. So you're seeing it at Providence right now. Providence is basically just taking our best Idaho kids.
Yeah.
It's a pipeline.
So I'd like those guys to stay in Idaho. So they stick around so they can be coaches. I mean, that was probably the real devastation when BSU dropped, is we're not getting coaches to stick around here, And if you look at the ties to Boise State and the coaches currently in Idaho, there's so many ties to Boise State wrestling. So the Murray brothers, myself, I mean, you just go down the list. Almost all those coaches have ties to BSU. So I think that's the real problem with not having a college program is those kids go make home somewhere else and they don't typically come back.
Yeah.
So Fred, and Val, I think NAIA is probably the best bet because Division I I know Jason Bryant would know this number. I think there's only like 5 or 6 Division I women's programs now. It's grown a little bit. I think Lehigh and a few other are adding, but a vast majority are NAIA, I believe.
Yeah, and they've been doing it longer, and they've got the system down. They know how to do it. They know how to do women's wrestling very well. I think Kent State just came on as the 7th D1 college, and they're not starting until 2027.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, for sure. It's a good problem to have, but yes, somebody has got to. I think North Idaho College already has the only wrestling program in Idaho. I think it would be easy to add a women's program and just have those in tandem. So that would be my prediction. If a school was going to add it and be the first, I would say North Idaho College, certainly. So, okay, I did want to just touch lightly on the first Malad Lady Dragon invite this past weekend as well. Malad wins the team title, 116 points. Skyline was second. Blackfoot was third. Brian, I thought this was a pretty fun tournament for the Malad ladies.
It was well ran, done in a day. There was some good wrestling there. The 2 West Jefferson girls at 105 in the finals together. It was fun to see. West Jefferson, like I said, they've got some good small weights, some great wrestlers there. Kinsey Williams, obviously one of the nationally ranked wrestlers. Didn't have a tough match there, but she looked good. The freshman from Snake River at 120, Aquila Gonzalez, her only loss this year, I think, is to it's either Allie or Kinsey. It's one of those ranked girls, and she looks really strong.
Allie,
okay. And then Kyler Scott was there. So there was some Molly Olagi. So we had some really good girls there. None of them were really pushed. But overall, it was a great tournament.
Yep, for sure. Any final thoughts from the past week of competition, Val or Fred, before we preview what's coming up here over the next 2 weeks as we take a mini holiday break and then get back into it?
Yeah, I just want to go rogue real quick and just give a shout out to Jackson Holman from Sandpoint 215, was a finalist at Tri-State this weekend. So it's a big moment anytime we can get the North Idaho boys up there as finalists, and just he did well he had a great tournament. So I just want to give him a shout out.
Yeah. One more kind of residual on the boys' side from Tri-State as well, from Ryan Skaggs. Did anyone mention the awesome story about Colton Austin from Post Falls? Wrestled at 285 2 seasons ago, lost over 80 pounds. He's now wrestling at 157,
Wow.
and he took second at Al, I've never seen a weight drop like that before.
He's been busy working out, training. Good for him.
That's pretty awesome. If you want a more extensive deep dive into the Tri-State, you can always check out the North Idaho Prepcast. That's our North Idaho exclusive, where we just talk North Idaho sports. Ryan Skaggs and Hayden Uhlencott do that each week. Great episode this week talking about Tri-State wrestling there as well. Okay. We'll look ahead to the week ahead and see what's going on. But I wanted to talk real quick about rankings. We're getting lots of questions. Hey, are you guys doing the rankings again? We want to know, who do you guys think are the top individuals? Who do you think are the top teams? Yes, we have our rankings ready to go. I will admit, behind the scenes, we have had a hard time finding someone this year to rank the Class 3A wrestlers for us. We've got 6A, 5A, 4A, and girls all kind of lined up and accounted for. We've had a hard time finding somebody to week in, week out rank the Class 3A wrestlers, and that's why there's been a little bit of a delay in getting our rankings out. We will have rankings for you this week, probably tomorrow, is a nice little early Christmas present for all of you. But if you would be interested in potentially joining our rankings team, specifically for those 3A, 2A, 1A wrestlers, you can send me an email, Brandon@IdahoSports.com, with your credentials and maybe why you would be a good fit. But that is something we are looking for. It is a paid position. So again, if you are interested in that, drop me a line, Brandon@IdahoSports.com, and we'll see if we can work you into the fold. But we're looking for someone consistently week in, week out to help us out with that endeavor. But we are getting the rankings rolling out, and again, they will be out this week for you there. So that's the rankings question. Okay. There's not really much action going on this week. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, we'll take next week off because there won't be much to discuss except what we had for Christmas and all that good stuff. So we'll take a week off, and then we'll come back at the end of December, start of January, because there's a lot of big competitions coming up in 2 weeks, including Raleigh Lane, which we'll get to. I did want to highlight on the girls' side of the competition. So like we've said, pretty much every boys competition now has a girls tournament that's running kind of in conjunction with it. So you've got, I love this one, Brian. West Jefferson on Saturday, actually, this Saturday is going to host the Mr. Claus Christmas Clash and the Miss Claus Christmas Clash, boys and girls.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun idea. I'm interested to see who shows up. I have not heard an update. Boys teams, who's committed. It looks like girls, South Fremont, West Jefferson, and Butte County has got a few girls going, but I have not heard on the boys side what teams are showing up. So be fun. I hope it works out for them. And in future years, it might work better. The way the weekends fall, the holidays this week, it's kind of a tough one because a lot of the districts over here, they can't practice for 3 days over the break, and that happens to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that's kind of a tough time for a tournament, the way the days fall, but I hope it works out for them. Looks like a fun idea.
Yeah, fun. We'll see how it shakes out. Yeah. Monday, Glens Ferry is hosting the Justin Wolf Invite. That'll be boys and girls. Tuesday, St. Mary's is going to host the Chad Ross Memorial. That's going to be boys and girls. Then you get into the weekend. You've got Raleigh Lane, of course. It looks like Mountain View is hosting its own invitational alongside Raleigh Lane. You've got Bear Lake hosting the Traded McPherson Memorial, and then the Backwoods Brawl up in Bonners Ferry, which should be a good time on Saturday as well. So, Fred, where are you headed here after the holiday break?
We'll take our girls to Raleigh and a couple of our state placers. Kids have been putting in time, kind of as a reward to them. So go mix it up with the big schools.
Yeah, I love it. Val, where's Sandpoint going to be competing at?
So we're going to take our non-Raleigh kids to St. Mary's for the Chad Ross. We love supporting that one. And then our varsity boys and our full varsity girls lineup will head to Raleigh.
Cool. Love it. Ryan Skaggs says Raleigh Lane is going to be a crazy competitive field this year for sure. Here's Miria Garcia. New Plymouth girls missed out on some good tournaments, still small in numbers, but hopeful for a good season. It's so hard for those smaller schools when you're having to compete against CUNA and Rocky Mountain and your New Plymouth. And yet until we get a split of the classifications, you just got to try and drum up those numbers as best as you can. Hey, if you're in the chat hanging out with us, let us know where you're headed after the holiday break. We want to know which school you're repping and where your team is headed. I know Raleigh Lane's going to be a popular one. Al, again, over 100 teams roughly going to be there competing?
Roughly, and it's going to be highly competitive. I think in the girls, it's going to be as competitive, not more competitive than Reno. We'll see. There should be some good competition there on both sides.
Fred
I understand the first year they have not allowed multiple girls from a school to enter. So it's up over 80 girls team. So that's the first that they're cutting it off, and you can only bring your first lineup and no extra girls. So that'll be different. I think last year you watched Wasatch walk through the building with probably 35 girls in the tournament. So it'll be different.
Yep. Amanda says Post Falls girls will be at Raleigh. And here's the official numbers, guys, from Todd Cady. 101 schools, 95 boys, 85 girls. That's awesome. Love it.
Crazy.
Wow.
It's incredible.
It's going to be fun.
Yep. Fred, is there one weight class on the girls' side you're looking forward to at Raleigh Lane?
135.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the rubber match or the round. I guess it'd be round 3 for Olivia Bezic, Kiana Conrad. Anytime we can see a matchup like that, I get excited.
Yeah, it'll be like a 7-game series by the time we get to state. It'll be a lot of fun for sure. Here's Miria saying we're heading to Justin Wolf and Glens Ferry and then Raleigh Lane. So that's New Plymouth. Val, outside of 135, is there a weight you're looking forward to at Raleigh Lane?
130 and 135 are the two ones that I'm watching, and also 115. I just want to see what's going to shake out there. I think all these weight classes are going to be extremely competitive, and especially with Raleigh Lane, because the way with the growth allowance and then their, wrestling week allowance, girls will fluctuate weight classes pretty dramatically at that tournament. So it'll just be interesting to see where everybody lands and what those brackets shape out to look like.
Yeah, that's part of the intrigue and part of the fun for sure. All right, on the boys' side, Al, is there a weight class you're looking forward to watching at Raleigh Lane?
All of them. There's a lot of parity up and down. We'll see where everyone goes, but I think almost every weight class, 113s, 120s, going all the way up to heavyweights. There should be good competition. So not one in particular right now.
Okay, I was inclined to say 120. That was the one I was really looking
120 is one of them, yes.
Yeah, for sure. Brian, you got a weight you're looking at?
You know, it was definitely going to be 120. Outside of the 5A, we already talked about a little with Leonard, Takita, Shank, Holton, Crane, all coming back, all state champions in the same way. You also add then from South Fremont, Grayson Packer, Brandon Edstrom from Madison. So I think that's definitely going to be, one of those weights to watch. It's going to be a lot of fun. Outside of that, I think 144 with Googleman, Pugsley, Avalos, Ty Adams. That's going to be a fun weight to watch for the Idaho kids, let alone the kids from out of state that are coming in there. And there's several freshmen. I'm really interested to see how they play out over at, Bonneville. Scout Scott, I think, he's going to be top 1 or 2 out of that 126 weight as a freshman. Several other freshmen in the state that are going to be fun to watch and see how they do at Raleigh, kind of the first big tournament some of them will be hitting.
Yep, it's an eye-opener for sure if you've never been. So for those freshmen, no doubt about it. So it's going to be a really fun weekend of competition. Yep, Joshua, one more for 120 at Raleigh Lane for sure. That's going to be fire, no doubt about it. So again, as a reminder, we're going to take next week off because there's not too many results to talk about. We will be back in 2 weeks for our first Matt Chat of 2026. Until then, thanks for tuning in, everybody. One last request before we end the live stream. If you could hit that like button, the subscribe button, share this when it's all said and done. That'll help everybody who wasn't here live tonight find this a little easier on replay amongst all those social media destinations. But for Al Fontes, Brian Zollinger, Fred Bartlett, and Val Johansson, I'm Brandon Baney. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and thanks for supporting Idaho Wrestling. This has been the Matt Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.